Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Game 2 between Liquid Sheth and EG's Thorzain. This is your broadcaster, HD. Hope you guys enjoyed the first game of this set. I hope you guys enjoyed the cast so far on my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure to subscribe. It's a nice way to show your support, and I do appreciate it. Sheth is going to be the blue Zerg at the 12 o'clock position here. The map is Metropolis, and down to the bottom left, we have EG's Thorzain. Terran versus Zerg. First game, pretty much Thorzain getting away with one of the greediest builds you can possibly do as Terran. I think it is the greediest build. Macro Command Center and double Engineering Bay. And the funny thing is, I've seen him do it so many times before. He can be one of the greediest Terrans ever, and yet he gets away with it. I would imagine that Sheth watched the replay of the last match, or has to somehow know that there's no way Terran can get that much units out on the field at that point in time without Zerg being at least able to stop that push. And Sheth has got to know, man, I let him get away. He slipped right through. I had a timing on my hands where I could have attacked, and I have to attack to punish it, or I've got to double expand, and he didn't do it. And, you know, there's no fault of him. He just didn't scout, obviously. Players do it all the time. And we'll see if this time Thorzain does the same trick again. And it's kind of like a cheese. It's like an eco cheese. There's two forms of cheese, really. One is... Alright, well, cheese is defined by doing something that you hope your opponent doesn't see. So there's obviously two types of cheeses. One is the aggressive cheese. You hope he doesn't see your proxy barracks or your proxy, I don't know, proxy hatchery. The other type of cheese is, well, I'm going to macro, and I hope he doesn't see how much I'm macroing, otherwise I'm going to die to an attack. So he got away with it. We'll see what happens this game. It looks like the Overlord gets inside, sees the base right away. Atlantis Spaceship is a map where you can go pretty long games. A lot of expansions you guys can see on the mini-map. Excuse me, Metropolis, I'm so sorry. It's a big map. You can have a lot of macro on this map. Also, we have islands with the Creep Tumor blocking the hatchery or the command center as well. I've only seen one game where they've ever been claimed at the pro level, and that was in the GSL with MVP and Squirtle. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if that happens in this game or not. Looks like the barracks will be, once again, same strategy from Thorzain. Going to be used to block off the front door after being built inside the mineral line, and we do have a factory once again. Overlord now parked outside the base. Good position for the Overlord. Can see if a second gas comes up to check for maybe a quick Banshee. Also can come inside the backside to check for buildings or macro command centers, like unlike last game. And it looks like Sheth has hatch first into spawning pool. Will have a quicker gas this time. So his speed will be a little bit earlier, and I kind of like that. I feel a little unsafe if I don't have speed, because obviously then that means that you can't have units to be aggressive with, and you can't have roaches, and all your tech comes way later. You can be very greedy with that, but I think it is a little dangerous. So Sheth will have a quicker speed this time, then pulls the drones off the gas. And he is building now queens 2 at a time. Both these players pretty macro oriented. We've seen it in the last game, so I would expect we're gonna have another macro game here. As I said, it's Metropolis, and just kind of the build-up phase right now for both sides. Will we have a macro command center though from Thorzain? He knows he got away with like stealing, murder, stealing, and adultery last game. Will he do it this time? Yeah, there we go, command center. But the next follow-up question to that is, will we have a double engineering bay? Did it once, shame on Sheth. Did it twice? Really shame on Sheth. I couldn't think of a clever saying right there, but we'll see. We'll see. Sheth has a hatchery down. The natural, no changes so far. It looks like the Hellions going to try to run in here and do a little bit of damage. You know, Thorzain did do a good job of denying creep tumors, and we once again saw him just deny the creep tumor again. Wow, pretty impressive right there. If he can run in again, he can get another creep tumor, and the more creep tumors he gets, just the better it is. Just keep Zerg blind in the dark, and one of the best ways really to just hamper Zerg and annoy them without really risking yourself in any type of situation. And it looks like he's still using these Hellions. There it goes. A spine crawler has been pushed out from Sheth. That's pretty typical from Zerg. When your creep tumors are under attack, a spine crawler is one of the best ways to really make sure and protect those creep tumors from any type of harassment from the Terran player. There is the macro command center, and we do have a factory landing on the siege on the tech lab. The Hellions still continuing to damage at the front door, but Sheth wisely hopping the tumor or the Spinecrawler out to the front, and that will allow his tumors to spread under the cover of the Spinecrawler. But I thought for a second there Thorzain was going to say, hey, if your Spinecrawler is burrowing, I'm just going to run right by it. But Sheth did have a lot of Zerglings in the back, so it's a good idea. It was actually really smart of Thorzain that he didn't do that, because he could have lost all of his Hellions. Once you go inside, there's no running out. There's a Spinecrawler there. So Thorzain once again roasts up another tumor. Ouch. And Thorzain is just so annoying with those Hellions, man. And now it's like, good job, guys. Well done. Run away. But, oh, intercept from Sheth. But he was not able to get the jump. Thorzain just paying attention to his Hellions. A lot of Terran players, you know, they send it back home, and then they look at their base and they don't worry about those Hellions. Well, those are the kind of players that lose their Hellions, but Thorzain did not. And once again, greedy, greedy, greedy Thorzain, going for double NG Bay once again. And I reiterate, if there was a Baneling bust right now, if there was Roachling all in, anything from Thorzain at this point, or from Sheth at this point, would just be the end of Thorzain. But, you know, that's the thing about Sheth. So well-mannered, so GM. He might not cheese, he might not all in, and I don't think he will. Obviously has double Engineering Bay right now and is going to go for a macro game of his own. I hope, I pray that this time he doesn't fall into the same guise that, you know, maybe Thorzain is playing, you know, Barracks Factory Command Center but doesn't have a macro CC. No, he isn't. He has double Engineering Bay. He has so much greed right now that I hope Sheth gets greedy himself and gets a double hatchery or something. He does have a third coming up right now, trying to get out across the map, but there's no way those Hellions are going to get killed off by a paltry amount of Zerglings like that. And in fact, the Hellions once again running up here. Oh, the creep tumor is almost getting blown up right there by AoE. And unfortunately for Sheth, they were not. And what is Sheth's strategy? What is he going into here? He has a layer coming. Pretty agreed from him as well, just not as much as Thorzain, obviously. He has a lot of drones, not as much more as we'd like to see at this point in the game from against a Terran. But nevertheless, he's not out of the game yet. I would love to see him get another hatchery down. We'll see if he goes. I think he's going to go Roachling Infestor here, and there's the Infestation Pit. Excuse me, not Roachling Infestor, Ling Infestor. What am I thinking? But I think he's going to go Ling Infestor here, and we do have an Infestation Pit coming down. This is a very powerful composition against Terran, used a lot, actually, against Terran. It's either Baneling Muta or Ling Infestor with some Banelings thrown in as well. And this is actually the more popular strategy nowadays against Terran, because Terrans have become so good at stopping Mutalisk harassed. It's almost kind of funny, Mutalisk, how hard they are to use against Terran now. And whoa, Hellions roasting up Zerglings on the way out. And those Zerglings are perfectly lined up for a Hadouken shot. Thorzain runs away, though. His Hellions are too weakened, and he runs back to his siege tanks, and he is going to be safe from those Zerglings, as Sheth makes his way back home. 3-base Terran now to 3-base Zerg, and once again, I feel like Sheth is just letting Thorzain run away with this game. He scouted, though. That's important. He did scout that there is a third command center up, and he knows, he's got to know now that he's behind in this game. It's 106 to 127 supply. He's got to get a fourth hatchery right now. I mean, especially if he's going to go into Broodlord Infestor. He's not going to attack anytime soon. He's playing the macro game as well as Thorzain is, so he's got to get a fourth hatchery, maybe even double expand, damn it. As he sends his drone out right now, there's one coming up right there. Is another one coming up at number 4? Maybe not. Actually, these drones are just coming, I think, to collect gas. But, yeah, you know, Sheth's still woefully behind in this matchup, has to figure something out. Once again, though, I will say, he has these Zerglings running in. He might be able to get surrounded on these Hellions. No! What a good control by Thorzain, totally using terrain for his favor. And now traps the Zerglings! Oh, man! If it wasn't painful for Sheth before, it is certainly hurting right now. He just lost a lot of Zerglings for no reason at all. 121 to 153 supply. And, I will say that, once again, Zerg has the advantage in the late game. If they can get Broodlord Infestor out, then they can usually win the game against Terran. But that's the thing, Thorzain has kind of mitigated any late game advantage Zerg has by getting such a strong mid game. Terran already has a good mid game. This is like mid game times 10, and there it is. Here comes the inevitable push from Thorzain, and what the heck is Sheth going to do about this? 1-1 are his upgrades for his Marines. Thorzain has no weapons upgrades, but it is coming. He's going to have 2-2 and 1 weapons, in fact. Sheth going for a counterattack with 1-1 Zerglings. Runs into a supply depot wall, but that is only a limited obstacle. Eventually, it will go down. Marines coming to the back. Siege Tank going to try to siege up here, and I think Thorzain's going to be able to hold it. He runs his Marines inside the bunker. Very smart. But does he have enough? I don't think so. And he might have to sacrifice this expansion, or at the very least lift off the command center and just wait until he can get enough reinforcements here to clean this up. And there comes the rest of his units coming back home to defend. The Zerglings running amok inside the base. If they can pick off this tank, I think it's a job well done. And that is what they will do. And eventually, I would imagine these Zerglings will be cleaned up. Meanwhile, in the middle of the map, oh! Tanks left exposed. It looks like something ran in there. I think it was Infestors. But, oh, the Infestors! Oh, just barely in range of comms that get picked off. Meanwhile, a Viking in the background, not a medevac. But these Zerglings are still alive inside of Thorzain's base. Thorzain's got to clean this up, and finally does. Units lost, still heavily in favor of Thorzain. He's crushed a Zerg, and he still has a lot of SCVs alive. I don't think he's really lost any at all. That Zergling harass really didn't do much damage at all, except for maybe killing off like 1 tank at that. And so Thorzain, fantastic position right now, has map control. Ooh, those Marines one-shot by Zerglings. They were so weak already. Those Marines were so brave. Careless, reckless, but brave. And it looks like Thorzain will back out of this position. Doesn't have tank support, so that's a good idea. I wonder if you can actually... I think you can drop up here. I don't see any reason why you couldn't. That would be a great position for tanks to siege up at. And Marines on the way out. Unfortunately, there were not enough lifeboats for all the women, children, and men. And so those Marines were caught. Number 4 is not occupied by Sheth. But the fact that it isn't is more worrisome for me than the Marines being here, because really, what is Sheth going to do in the late game? He doesn't have enough hatcheries. He's only on 4 bases. It looks like he will be able to protect against this medevac drop. It's still heavily in favor of Thorzain. 184 supply to 170. Maybe not heavily in favor, but still in favor of the Terran player. And I do feel like Thorzain should be taking his advantage now. He should be capitalizing on his advantage. He should push with all of his army and make an attack. I don't think he wants to get into a very late game scenario because, like I said, Hive Tech crushes Terran. Terran still has a very hard time dealing with Broodlord Infestor. So I really think Thorzain should be making a concerted effort here to push and try to end the game. I think he's going to drop right now with these 3 medevacs, with those lifeboats. We'll see what happens. Oh, the tanks don't get surrounded. They will get surrounded. 3 tanks will drop. Ouch. And that's not what Thorzain wants to let happen to him when he's got the advantage. That's a good play, though, from Sheth. Needs to pick up the pace right now. And, uh-oh, here comes this drop. Lot of Marines, but there's an Infestor there. Is Sheth on the money right now? Is his fingers on the trigger? Will he get an Infested Fungal or not? It doesn't look like he will. He runs away. Meanwhile, those Zerglings running into the 3rd command center. So for the first time, we will have some SCVs fall here. At the meantime, Marines kind of trying to shred their way through the backside of this 4th hatchery. Infestor runs in, gets a fungal off before it could die. Nice work right there. Meanwhile, 3 infested Terrans just hiding underneath the tanks. Just a skirmish is just occurring all over the mini-map, ladies and gentlemen. And it looks like Thorzain, I think he will get cleaned up here as the Broodlords make their appearance. But really, all in all, just little skirmishes back and forth. No major losses, but I'm about to take that back because if these tanks fall, oh no, Thorzain loses so many tanks. What a victory for Sheth. That couldn't have gone any better for him. And for free, he just expended energy from his infestors to kill off a huge number of tanks. And all of a sudden, Sheth in very good position in this matchup. I don't care if he doesn't have that 1 extra base. He just killed off almost all the tanks. He might just get this medevac as well. No, where'd the Corruptor go? Oh man, unfortunate for him because he's gonna get dropped in the back of his drones once again. And no response here from Liquid Sheth. Thorzain is throwing in Ravens and Corvid Reactor as well. Oh my god. Hey, Ravens are not a bad unit to have in the late game. I actually really like Ravens. This could be very interesting, especially if he... Ouch, medevac goes down. Especially if he gets Seeker Missile. That would be just... I would go ballistic if he gets Seeker Missile here. I can't think of any other reason why he would get Ravens 2 at a time and get Corbett Reactor. It's gotta be for Seeker Missile usage here. He's getting building armor as well. That'll help the auto turrets and his command centers, or his planetary fortresses. Really all of his buildings. And, you know, even though he's down in supply right now, he does still have map control in the middle of the map. 4 bases to 4 bases here. Zerglings running in. Those guys are pretty much, you know, they can take those Marines down, but they'll have to fall back. And Raven's still being produced 2 at a time. You know, Thorzain might just make a total switch into Sky Tyrant here. And the beauty of it is, when Zerg goes into Broodlord Infestor, if you've got a lot of Ravens ready with Seeker Missiles, I think that is a way to stop Broodlord Infestor. I'm sorry, but Seeker Missiles do a lot of damage. And especially if your Zerg units are clumped up in the air. So this could be brilliance, or it could just be craziness. We'll have to see. Overlord runs in. It looks like the planetary fortress will begin constructing. That is 5 bases now for Thorzain, and Sheth just trailing slightly behind that at coming up with his 5 bases as well. Raven now getting Caduceus Reactor. That is not actually a Raven upgrade. That is a medevac upgrade. So I guess we're going to have medics with more energy. And there it is! Seeker Missile comes! Seeker Missile comes! So we're going to have Seeker Missiles. I wish you could have seen me right there, because I'm doing fist pumps right now. Seeker Missile! Seeker Missile! This is going to be awesome. And he has so many Ravens, his army is useless unless his Ravens contribute in some way. He doesn't have that much army on the ground, so this is going to be very interesting. The thing here is Thorzain totally anticipating the Brute Lord switch. Look at his ground army. It's non-existent. You know, and the thing here is if Sheth didn't go into Brute Lords, if he doesn't go into Brute Lords, he could just stick to Ultras, and he would completely destroy this army. I don't want to say the word I was thinking of, but he would completely wreck this army if he went ultra crackling. But he's going Brute Lords, and the comsat goes down and reveals it. And I think the Terran player here, Thorzain, is just like, whew, thank God he's going air. Otherwise, my Ravens are not very good against Ultralisks. So this is going to be a very interesting matchup. One of the few rare units we do see in Terran play is the Raven. So this is going to be very, very enticing indeed. And here comes some of the air units from Thorzain going down to the bottom left. Thorzain maybe thinking about doing something here with this Viking Raven fleet. Oh, it's going to totally intercept the Crackling squad. Oh no, these Cracklings and the Overlords are just running into a tarp. They're running into the tarp, and they're just going to get molested by these Vikings. Down they go, and ouch. Meanwhile, on the left side, the top left-hand side of the map, we have Corruptors going out to clear the path for other Overlords. Now, these Zerglings, unlike their fallen brethren, might actually be able to do something. And remember, because Thorzain has invested so much into his air, he really doesn't have that much anti-ground units. In fact, if these Zerglings make their way in, oh, this is going to be so painful for Thorzain. Thorzain has to bring his Vikings in the way. He's going to try to go for the interception. Will he be able to intercept this pass or not? I don't know. I don't think so. There's the Marines. Just enough Marines in time. And ouch for Thorzain. Totally shut down. And oh, he lost so many Zerglings there. Not a huge loss. Overlords and Zerglings can be replaced. No gas loss there, but still a loss nonetheless. And this is getting really crazy. Late game, 24 minutes in. Sheth has all these Brute Lords, but he's got to be very careful about not clumping them up. If he does, Ravens are going to eat him alive, and that could just be the end of days for him. He's got to be very careful. Double medevac fleet going to the top, the northwest here. SCV's just kind of chilling. How you doing, dudes? And he's actually, oh, okay. So he's genociding his own SCVs. Why not? In the late game, you can actually do that with a bunch of command centers. Just drop meals. You don't need SCVs. Free up more supplies, place. And here comes Thorzain with more Marines, sending them in for an attack. Kills off the Spore Crawler. Medevac stays alive, actually, with 4 HP. Rest of the Zerg units trying to rumble their way back home to defend here. Cannot afford to lose a spawning pool. Ouch, loses it, though. And any other units he loses here, any other buildings he loses here, it's just a bonus for Thorzain. Thorzain will drop. But, you know, I think Thorzain is just clearing up supply capacity. He's throwing away SCVs and Marines and taking whatever down to hell he can with him so that he can clear up some base for more Ravens. That's what he's doing. More Ravens, more tanks and Thors. It is literally metal tearing to the maximum here. And this is so funny. This is crazy. What is Sheth going to do about this when they engage? Does he have the right composition to deal with Ravens? The thing is, I've never seen Ravens used like this before, so I can't tell you if it's going to work or not. all I can say is it's going to be a fantastic battle. Fireworks are going to be coming down like the 4th of July. And that is going to be in the form of Raven Seeker Missiles. Look at how many Seeker Missiles he's got ready to go. Now remember, each Raven maxes at 200 energy, so he cannot shoot 2 Seekers at a time. He can only shoot 1, but waiting a little bit longer, he will have the option of shooting a second one. And he has 6 missiles ready to go. If he waits longer, he will have 12. So that's a lot of potential AoE damage here. And like I said, Sheth has to be very careful, does not want to let his units clump up.